So I am the agriculture, I'm going to start my timer so I'm keeping on task here. I'm the agricultural educator at the School for Agricultural and Environmental Studies. When I say that, a lot of people think that that means I'm at a college, and I'm not. I'm at an elementary school that is a public charter. It's grades kindergarten, 4K through sixth grade. And we opened our doors in 2012. I've been here since 2013. We are located in Fox Lake, Wisconsin, and we are a part of the Waupun Area School District. And Kate did provide me with questions as well. She said to tell me a little bit for all of you to hear about my position and what I love about it. And I really, really do love my job. I have, like I said, I'm the agricultural educator, but I also get to do community outreach. And I just have so much fun with what I get to do. I get to work with all of our learners, grades 4K through 6th. Agriculture in our school is almost like a special, like Fayette or music. And so all grades get that. And I get to help those students to be inspired to better understand agriculture and the environment, and to hopefully inspire them to wonder. We have a wonderful set of resources that I get to utilize. With a referendum, our district was able to do some changes to our building. And we have my agricultural classroom also as a teaching kitchen. We have a greenhouse, outdoor gardens, and outdoor classrooms. We do have the opportunity to go to our district school forest, and we are in walking distance of Fox Lake. So we do a lot of stuff with the lake as well. So it's a nice mix of agriculture and environment and all those different in-betweens. I have the opportunity to collaborate with classroom teachers, and I work really hard to try and align concepts that they're using or doing within their core classrooms of math, science, reading, social studies, with projects that we could do with real world activities. So what Steve was talking about, invasives, that's something that I would latch right onto and try and maybe within a 5th grade reading class, we'd be learning about buckthorn, and then we'd be going to the school forest and doing something about buckthorn, or we'd be taking data for science and using the school forest again as a way to have data and create graphs, or just all those different ways to incorporate. The other aspect of my job is getting to reach out to the community. And I love this because there are so many experts out there. And to have an expert talk to our students helps them, one, to understand just the vastness of possibility for their futures. But it's also really drawing on such wonderful people in our community. And I like to refer to them as our learning partners. And then I have the chance to promote our school through our website, through our social media, and video and all that good stuff, which is me being able to use some of my experience in marketing. So our school, I like to refer to it as a living schoolyard. Some folks were calling it a playground, and I would politely correct them that we have a living schoolyard, and we continue to formulate that. It includes school gardens, anything from having a sunflower house. And you'll notice I put grades behind the names of the gardens. Again, that's an opportunity to match what certain grade levels do with specific gardens. The ABC flower garden, that's obviously a good fit with kindergarten. I'm gonna keep going so I can show you some of the other really cool things. And I'll try and talk about them as I go. So our vegetable garden, some other questions that I'll intertwine in here, some of our barriers that I've faced, and things that I would tell new educators. So you'll notice these cement kind of looking like slabs that are our raised beds in the vegetable garden. Those were not well received by our facilities director. And what that kind of spoke to was not having all of my stakeholders seeing and appreciating the vision that I had for their use. Being a school that wants to repurpose things, these are bunks that a dairy farmer would have had for feeding their cattle. I happened to see them stacked at a farm that my son worked at. And I politely asked that farmer, "What is your plan with that?" And to which he let me know he didn't have a plan for them, and yes, we could have them for raised beds. So two other educators asking the question, you can always get the answer no, but if you don't ask the question, you're not going to get a yes. So I do ask a lot of probably brave questions to community members in order for us to do what we're doing. We as a group try to work together to really align things. There's a lot of different books that I love to bring in. So here's our ABC flower garden. The students do actually search through the Jung's catalog, and they get to help us decide what flowers based on the letters they're finding and whether they can grow in sun and all that good stuff. So you see them proudly showing those off. Our rain garden's another garden that we have. And again, leaning on learning partners. We have a master naturalist in our community who has come in and helped. She also helps us to maintain this garden in the summer months when we are not there. This aligned really nicely with second grade and their studies of soils and erosion, pervious and impervious land and infiltration. So those are all aspects that we'll talk about with that. First graders work on our sunflower house. I've got so much to say. My timer just went off that tells me I don't have a whole lot of time left. So I'm going to keep clicking through because Kate asked me about new aspects to our grounds. And this year with two things, we implemented a change of our playground to more of a living schoolyard. And our outdoor classroom, if you see on the left, there's the before and after. That's back in fall 2013. We had the stones, they were donated. And then we had our first and second graders create models of where we could locate those stones and how we could have an outdoor classroom. We had them considering the sun and if the teacher's standing one spot, all sorts of different aspects. We worked with our village to get they will often bring their truck and drop off mulch. So that's an item that's free. And then our students do the work of putting it in place. The picture on the right is this fall, and you'll notice there's a board there. That's a art board that can be used by teachers in the classroom, but then also at recess, students can play school or whatever else they're inspired to do. Outdoor classroom number 2, because of COVID, as we entered this school year, we really wanted to be able to have access to lots of different outdoor spaces, get the kids outside, hopefully take mask breaks. And so the top right picture is my principal and our facilities director just kind of looking at the space and thinking things through. Then the rest of the pictures, well, the bottom below that, you'll see students, that's our third graders out doing a reader's theater in that space. And on the left, you'll notice it became a summer project. And actually for this particular project, teachers pitched in. And then what we didn't finish, we had our students finishing on a field experience Friday. The living schoolyard that I've referred to as what used to be our playground, we removed old playground equipment and we worked with GRG Playscapes. They work with natural materials, which was very appealing to us. So the structure that you see with the blue slide is made out of, I'm going to say black locust, and I feel like that's wrong, but that might be a tired brain. But it's native to our state, but it's somewhat invasive in that people don't want it on their land. It grows rapidly. And again, maybe Steve or you people with forestry backgrounds can speak to that. But it was appealing to let the kids know that here's a product that a lot of people want to get rid of. Yet because it's a hardwood, this business is using it, and it was what we were hoping for. Our students had made lots of plans. This actually Living Schoolyard was in the works since 2015, and the students that initiated it are now juniors in high school. So it has been a long way in the making, but working with community members, we had work days, and we had people who were very skilled with building, and that was a way that we could reduce the cost of the actual landscape architect by having these community work days. The structure that the kids play on that is needs to be certified as safe was made by GRG Playscapes, the experts. But then there were several other ways that our volunteers were able to lend a hand. The picture on the left with the flowers alongside of it it's showing you the weather station, and that's for kindergarten through third grade. Again, it aligns really nicely with what they study. We did get a grant to get thermometers and wind vanes and different pieces that the students are going to be installing. The view that's on the bottom left shows you another wall that doesn't have stuff on it yet, but the purpose with that was because of last spring not being able to have students involved as much, we held off. That's a music wall, and we're going to allow our music teacher and all of our students to be able to be the ones who put pieces onto that and build it. It's been fun watching the kids interacting with the new space. There's a lot of loose parts that, again, we worked with a local arborist, and he just donated trees that would make sense. The students have moved them around in many different ways. I've looked out the window and saw them doing a teeter-totter that they made on their own. I have watched, let's see if I can get back. This was fun the other day. They were using these little parts to make balance beams. And one of the little girls, actually, you'll see the girl that's in kind of the orangish shirt. The one in green, she kind of fell through. So their design wasn't quite up to par. So then they went back through and fixed their design. So this is, just so many good things are happening from this space. We had, again, our local person, our learning partner, who noticed that we put in a lot of ornamental trees. We had 7 trees that we put into the space. So she donated 3 additional trees that are oaks. 2 of them are a white swamp oak and one's a pin oak. My 6th graders had the opportunity to read up on how to plant trees and learn about just where in the ground it should be and all that good stuff. And then they were the ones who planted those out in our space. This is a piece of land off-site that we've made into a community garden. This is back in its early stages, where 2 8th graders took on this project and teamed up with UW Extension Dodge County Master Gardeners. And I think to kind of go back to what Sam was saying, the advice from the Master Gardeners was, you have this whole big piece of land, don't till it all up. Just do what you can manage. And so little by little, we've added some plots, but we realized how very smart it was to start small. And we work with volunteers in the summer to maintain it. And I'm hopeful that now that we've got students who are in the high school that were at our school, that I might be able to connect with the FFA and have some high school students that serve almost as like garden managers, and maybe look into doing like a CSA as we continue with that space. But I think I'm going to stop there because my time is up, and I want to open it up to questions or give it back to Kate. So I'm noticing that someone talked about the champion, and I'll be honest, as I was talking, I wanted to be careful because Sam, you mentioned like, okay, don't just have a champion that then is burnt out or leaves. And something that I did neglect to say that there was we have a living schoolyard committee that is made up of multiple teachers. Again, we do have a governance board here at our school. And so those outside entities have also been involved, and we have a foundation. So there's a lot of different partners in the mix and stakeholders, and our administrator is very much, she's a part of our committee, and we communicate a lot with our buildings and grounds and our custodian, so much so that my students, they very much understand that if we're going to do any change on the grounds, they need to know that they have to have at least a 6-foot space for a mower to go through. I mean, that makes Mr. Vandenberg happy. You have to leave him a space or you're going to mulch it all over, so there's a lot of aspects that we try to make sure that we're staying in line with all of our partners, and that if something happens to me, it still goes on.
Question in the chat too. Samara asks, has there been a measurable impact with student interest in ag once they get to high school?
That's an excellent question. That is not something that we have measured, but another question that I've had that we haven't measured that is how many of our students are actually directly in ag or are at our school more so because it's convenient. And so there's a little bit of both. But I'm curious how many of our kids are how many generations removed from agriculture they are.
Is there a waiting list at your school to get in?
We cap at 20 students per grade, and we have one of each grade. So certain classrooms did hit that point where, somebody maybe wouldn't have been able to get in, but at this time, no waiting list. We definitely hope to get there.